Now, restaurants cannot just compete with food and service. They need stronger reason for people who are spending their time in online space to be in offline space. The question is, how do you attract those people to be in offline space? It's by designing a space that people can never experience in an online space. Hey guys, Wayne here. What makes restaurants successful? Well, there should be many factors like food, service, environment, marketing. There are a lot of factors. In this video, I'm gonna share something that you guys never thought about before. It's something that most people neglect when it comes to opening a restaurant or when it comes to designing a restaurant. And there's one most important factor that decides restaurant's success or even the future, the destiny of the restaurant with this single factor. And the question would be, where does the true value of the restaurant comes from? And in my opinion, that is a space design. It's not a food, it's not a service, it's a space design. And there's something that most people don't realize is that restaurant is a physical space, so people think they're competing against other physical space, which is not true. People think restaurants are safe from online competition, but it's the other way around. Restaurants are also competing online space. You know, last couple of years with this whole COVID pandemic era, the whole markets have changed, have shifted from offline space to online space. Offline market space have significantly decreased compared to before. The reason for that is during the pandemic, the whole market changed and the market share that online space had got a lot bigger, and now online space is having a lot more market share compared to offline spaces, right? So that meaning people have less reason to be in a physical space compared to online space, where they can do almost everything in online space. They never expected that they could work from home, but in the end, they realized that it is possible. They thought getting a fresh produce delivery was impossible, but now it's possible. So a lot of people, a lot of market share is flowing into the online space. So people have less reason to be in an offline space. So what I mean by when I say offline spaces, just like restaurants, are still competing with online space is that now restaurants cannot just compete with food and service. They need stronger reason for people who are spending their time in online space to be in offline space. The question is, how do you attract those people to be in offline space? It's by designing a space that people can never experience in an online space. As you realize, we can experience almost every type of experience in online space, but in order to be successful in offline space, and the only advantage that they can leverage that advantage, that physical space, is to designing that space in a way that people will come into the space to enjoy the space. So one of the most innovative space design that I've ever seen in restaurant industry is that I read this book recently about space design in restaurants. So this person owns a real estate development company, and the way he designed restaurants is that he does a 60-40 rule in space design, which is in restaurants, he believed that only 60% of the whole space must be used for service, and 40% of the space has to be used to design a space, and it cannot be used for service. And people are like, then aren't we losing money in the end? We're only using the 60% of the space to sell something which we have less potential. But what he is trying to say, if we don't make the reason why people would come to this place with this 40% of the space, people will never come. So it's a matter of, are you going to sell less and are you going to have more potential for people to come in more, increase the traffic, or are you going to take the risk to sell none? So why are they coming into restaurants? What kind of reason are you providing? And that you can solve by space design. Or another example of innovative space designs in restaurants is by providing a space that is available for people to use for free. And there's also an amazing way to leverage social media with space designs in restaurants. After this whole Instagram and TikTok, this whole social media marketing and social media contents have been a thing for the younger generation, more people are looking for commercial spaces that are Instagrammable. And that's why more people have started creating a photo spot or photo zone in their restaurant that created a really nice small little space so that people can stand there or take photos with their friends or by themselves in a mirror. I think the good example of an Instagrammable space is just designing the whole commercial space. When people take photos or take videos from any angles, it still look amazing. I think that is the better example of how you design the space itself rather than creating a photo spot. And the second point is, if people can initiatively create contents in the restaurant, and as more people do that, as more contents are created in your restaurants with your space, you basically can crash the market. You can basically increase the traffic of the whole neighborhood just because of your store. So it's very, very important to have a very unique identity of space design in your restaurants, which will automatically increase the traffic of your restaurant and your whole neighbor, which ultimately is going to increase the value of the real estate, the value of your neighborhood. That is the power of designing a space properly in commercial spaces. And in my opinion, when you own a small restaurant, you still can apply this principle in the small restaurants too. This is not a thing that only applies to big restaurants or big chains. You still could apply the 60-40 rule in small restaurants too. And there are also good examples of 60-40 rule that applied in small restaurants. Because remember, if you only compete with food and service, you're competing basically everybody. Everybody's your competition. But if your competition factor is a space, when you're making people to come into your restaurant with space design because people want to enjoy your space for whatever reason, it can be free or it can be your Instagrammable spot, whatever reason, if you're designing a space properly and people are coming into your restaurant to enjoy the space, you are going to crash the market, because now people are looking for something unique, something that they can't find in online space, and that can be made with space design. Okay, that's it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.